All right, well, many Toronto residents upset over the packed crowds at Trinity Bellwoods Park on the weekend. The city now making sure people get the message. There were an estimated 10,000 people who visited Trinity Bellwoods Saturday as the city opened up 850 park amenities. Toronto's Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Eileen de Villa, tweeting that it could set us back in the battle against COVID-19. On Sunday, the city beefed up its presence with bylaw officers and police to ensure that people using the park stuck to the rules when it comes to social and physical distancing. But could gatherings like this one at Trinity Bellwoods lead to a possible surge in coronavirus cases? I'm joined by infectious disease expert Dr. Isaac Bogoch. Dr. Bogoch, your initial thoughts, you see these visuals. How do you feel?
Obviously, it's a little disappointing. I mean, we've worked really hard throughout Canada and especially in Ontario to start to get those case numbers down. There's been endless talk about what physical distancing is and how we should be doing it. And I get it. It's a beautiful day outside. Everyone wants to go out and enjoy the sun. And for those people who were in Trinity Bellwoods, who were adhering to physical distancing measures and enjoying the day outside, that's fantastic. Dude, that's the right way to do it. But of course, we know that others weren't, and obviously we got to learn from this. Now, I think there's been a visceral reaction in Toronto and elsewhere throughout the country when these scenes were played out. I think we can use this just as a learning experience moving forward about how we can do better and ensure that we still are able to enjoy the great outdoors, but also maintain that 2 meters of distance to avoid transmitting this infection.
Yeah, I think no one wants to shut down the park. I know the city doesn't want to be that bad guy here, and they want people to be out and about, and they know people are going to do it anyway because of the warm weather. So let's do this smart, let's do this respectfully, and let's think about others right now. That's what we really need to do. I want to talk a little bit about the numbers in Ontario, and they are concerning. We're sitting at the over 400 mark for, 4 days in a row. What's your take on this as we sort of sit near those peak levels again?
It certainly is concerning. We were doing well for a while. I mean, we went down from around the 600 to 700 new cases per day range, dipped down to about 300 new cases per day. But as you point out, there's been a consistent trend over the last few days where we've been over 400 cases. We have to remember that the numbers that we see are reflective of infection that was transmitted about 7 to 14 days ago. So this was all happening. These new infections that we're seeing were likely transmitted in and around Mother's Day and afterward. We know that the weather was starting to get nice there. We know that people were starting to move out and about a little bit more. So it's just a reminder of what we need to do. Lots of these are focused in the Greater Toronto area. This is not really reflective of Ontario as a province. This is really clustered in the GTA. And we need to do better in the GTA to find out who these people are, where they're catching this infection, who they're possibly transmitting it to, identify them and support individuals who are exposed or infected through a 14-day period of isolation.
Well, that kind of rolls into my next question, because I think the big thing that many people are wondering are who these people are. We hear about the long-term care homes. We hear about the frontline workers, the infections there. What about the community spread? How much of it is it playing into this whole picture?
So we have some data, but it's not a complete picture. But we know that now a lot of these infections are not in long-term care facilities or in hospitals. And some of this really is in community. Some of this is in community members in the general community outside of these facilities. This is problematic. I mean, this is very problematic. We know also much of this is clustered in the GTA. But to really hone in on this and to really have a better understanding of this, we need to boost up our contact tracing infrastructure, which basically means we have to have a large group of people who basically are able to contact every positive case and discuss with them where they were, who they were in contact, and then and only then will we have a much more granular view of who these individuals are and where they're getting infected.
I know we're running out of time here, but I just want to get your take on testing and how it's changed. The Premier is saying, listen, if you feel you might have come into contact, go ahead. Even if you're asymptomatic, go get tested. And they're looking to release some of their new testing model. Your thoughts on progress there?
Oh, fantastic news. Just the best news over the weekend, where essentially the message was come out and get tested. No one's going to be turned away from a diagnostic testing center. The smart move, I mean, it's never too late to right the ship, but we know there were tremendous issues with diagnostic testing in Ontario in March and in April. And it's okay that it's happening now, better late than never, but this is clearly the right message. And I hope people really listen to it. If you have mild symptoms, or severe symptoms or any symptoms compatible with COVID-19, you can go into one of the over 100 test centers throughout the province and get a diagnostic test. Some you have to call ahead, some you might not, so it's just worthwhile looking to see what the regulations are for the test center that's nearest you. But the threshold for seeking testing should be 0. If you think you have this infection, go get a test done. It's simple, it's easy, there's capacity, and no one will turn you away.
As always, some great insight here. Dr. Isaac Bogoch, thank you for your time this morning.
Anytime. Have a great day.
You too.